Okay. So welcome to our second community conversation. This is our first community conversation for the month of February, not our second. So our bad on the typo there. Welcome to our first community conversation in the month of February. Awesome. If there is anyone who needs Spanish translation, Ms. Lopez is normally the one who does our translation, and she is out this evening. If there is a parent or a staff member or a family member that could potentially support with this and share it with our families, please feel free to hop off mute so that we can make sure if anyone needs any translation services that they are able to get them. And if you do need translation services, and you can drop it in the chat. Again, we are going to do our best to find someone to make sure that we can get this translated for you. And if we cannot on this call, then I will have Ms. Lopez give you a personal call tomorrow to make sure that you get all of this information. Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Colgan. Our Zoom norms haven't changed. We just really ask that everybody keeps themselves on mute while we're going through the presentation, so just limit background noise. And you can use the chat feed to put questions in as we go. You can also use the raise a hand function at the end where we'll be coming off mute with any other questions that, that come up. And this is our agenda. So we're going to have a community builder here in a moment. Ms. Colgan's going to take that on today in Ms. Lopez's absence. Then we're going to go over and just review things that have been shared out in the newsletter. We'll talk a little bit about our Black History Month celebrations and some updates and reminders. And then we'll turn it over to you all for some Q&A.
So this community builder is really fun. This is coming from Ms. McCullough, who recently did this with our 8th graders to give you a little preview into what kind of community builders are also incorporated into our advisories. So if you could bring back any era or fashion, what time period would it be and why? Feel free to jump off mute or drop it in the chat. Personally, I may be one of the only people that still shops Baby Phat. I'm obsessed, will always be obsessed. I get emails from them weekly. So most of my paycheck goes to Baby Phat. And so 2000 streetwear would definitely be mine. $1920s for the hats. I see you, Joanne. And again, feel free to jump off mute or drop in the chat. 70s, because the fashion was everything. It really was. Ms. McCullough is the 90s. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Hi, I just got here. What was the question?
Yeah, if you could bring back any era of fashion, what time period would it be and why?
Okay, it would definitely be the early 2000s because I'm a 90s baby. So like I didn't really understand the 90s fashion because I was a child, but like by 2000, I was old enough to understand it. So yep. Early 2000s.
I'm with you on that. I said Baby Phat all the way. So
yeah, Baby Phat and Rockaware.
Yep. I'm seeing lots of 70s and lots of 90s. It's definitely a trend in here. Definitely 70s is in the lead. I feel like 70s is coming back. I'm seeing a lot of bell bottoms, so y'all might get your wish. All right, feel free to keep dropping anything that comes in, and I'm going to keep it pushing.
And also feel free that when Decades Day does happen, we'd love to see you in your best decades attire at arrival and dismissal. So just hold on to that decade. We'll hold you to it. And it's all about the community spirit here. I want to see some bell bottoms. Yep, exactly. I would like to see a 1920s hat, Joanne. That is your challenge. Thank you so much. Excellent, excellent. All right, so just some general newsletter updates for everyone. I know more and more scholars are getting those second shots, which we're really excited about. As scholars are getting vaccinated, please continue to send your scholars vaccination cards to Ms. Kerr, our Director of Operations. You can email her at ckerr@girlsprep.org. We want to make sure that we have the most accurate and up-to-date records of our scholars vaccination. Also, I'm going to actually let Ms. McCullough come off and tell her own announcement here. Welcome, Ms. McCullough.
Hi, I'm Miss McCullough, and I work at Girls Prep. And this is when everybody says, welcome, Miss McCullough. Thank you, Miss Kennedy. I felt that one.
Welcome, Ms. McCullough.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms.
yes.
McCullough.
Hi. No, it's okay. No worries. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, so there's a little typo there. High school applications are due to me February 16th, next week, Wednesday. As I stayed after school today with our lovely 8th graders, and we talked, we worked through a list. It's around the corner. I honestly cannot believe this. So as a 16th, they'll turn them into me. I will do my final review. I'll send it back and request that a guardian signature is on that, just to make sure that everybody's happy. Any essays, assessments, portfolios that will need to be included. You'll be getting correspondence from me and Ms. Craigman tomorrow about that. We're actually going to do an after-school workshop in regards to that, because our list is a little bit longer than we thought for a lot of kids applying to art schools and then the STEM schools and things like that. So look out for that information for the next couple days in regards to next week.
Awesome. So wanted to share and just kind of review grade level updates that have gone out in newsletters. Mr. Melendez is sending his own 5th grade team newsletter by email. And so asking that all 5th grade families just be sure to review that weekly newsletter from him, because it has all the info that you need. If for some reason you are not getting that email, if you could reach out to your point of contact and let them know, or email Mr. Melendez directly. We will put his, if someone could drop his email address in the chat, that would be helpful. But please check there for all things 5th grade. I'd also say 5th grade families, give your kiddos some love tonight. We realize our 5th graders, it's crazy to think that their last uninterrupted school year was 2nd grade. Our kiddos sat for their first mock state test ever in 5th grade this week. And this is the first time that they've been in a testing environment like that. And we had a learning curve, which we expected to have. And we reflected and we talked a lot about what an adjustment this can be and why it's important for us to practice. And so 5th grade families, show your kiddos some love. You'll be hearing from teachers and the team just about how we want to make sure we're continuing to support them in practicing so that when they get to the day of the actual state test, they feel like pros and they're not worried about it. And so just give them some love this evening. It was their first mock state test. 6th grade, these are just some updates from your teachers. So in science, just a reminder, science is going to be having their interim assessment on Tuesday. That really happens for all grade levels. Spoiler alert, but 6th grade was the first to announce it on these slides. We're excited to really see how much students have grown. So please make sure your students are in attendance next week so that we can see how much they've grown since their baseline. ELA just wanted to shout out all the scholars for working hard during the mock state exam. They're going to be ending their Claudette Colvin unit this week and begin preparing for the state exam when we return from break. So be on the lookout for more information about mastery season, which is coming up, and all of the fun competitions and growth celebrations that are coming down the pipe. In history, they're ending their current unit next week, and they'll be starting a new one after break. Just a plug to make sure all history assignments are submitted. And math, we will be having our math mock state test coming up soon. So keep preparing, do what you're doing now. And you'll hear more information about those dates as we get closer. All right, Ms. Colgan, you mind sharing about 7th grade?
Yeah, I definitely can. There's quite a few things coming up. So in science, there's going to be a new unit starting on chemical reactions. So there's going to be a ton of different really cool ways they get to learn about matter, the periodic table of elements, how substances react. So we want to make sure that they're really coming ready for lab, showing responsibility and scholarship, and doing any pre-work that they'll need to have done in order to participate in those labs. There is also their second IA coming up on February 15th. In ELA, they are in their current unit and they're starting an essay to draw parallels between multiple forms of literature that express the same theme from the Harlem Renaissance, which is really awesome. And then in history, we are starting to work on analyzing the Constitution and seeing, is it a document of compromise? So they're engaging by analyzing a living document and discussing this through a Socratic seminar. So they will need to be doing a lot of work to prepare for that seminar. So please make sure that you're checking in with them. Are they doing all their pre-work and are they ready to go? And finally, in math, they just took their IA number 3 on the 27th, and they're halfway through their unit. So they're going to be working on writing and solving equations, as well as learning and integrating what they learned in a previous unit, including those negative numbers and percents while solving the equations. And in 8th grade, Ms. Walker also sends her weekly newsletter, just like Mr. Melendez. So please make sure you're looking out for Ms. Walker's emails and you are reaching out to your POC or Ms. Walker herself with any questions about the grade.
All right, updates and reminders. We're going to go into that. Also, Ms. Colgan, if you can, I know there was a previous request from families to get some of our ruler resources that grade teams are working on in advisory. So if you've got any of the either slide decks or the ruler lesson PDF that we could maybe drop in the chat around their ruler focus right now, I think families would like to see that. I know it may take you a minute to pull that together, but that way we can share some of those resources with families. All right, updates and reminders, here we go. So our February calendar is here. This was shared with you in our family newsletter. And just a reminder of the important dates. We do have a vaccine pop-up clinic tomorrow. You're going to find out more about that in a moment. This Friday, we're having our Above 80 celebrations, which we're really excited for. I might have Ms. Colgan come off mute in a second. I know I just asked you to do 100 things at the same time, so sorry about that, but would love for you to talk about Above 80, and you can tap me in then for ruler, I can look for it too. We do have that science IA coming up next week, as we mentioned, and then we have our 5th and 6th grade unity meeting next Wednesday, the 16th, and then we have Kindness Day on the 18th. We're excited to tell you more about that in a couple slides. After winter recess, we return on the 28th. And then the month of March launches what we're calling mastery season, which is where we are going to be gearing up for the state tests. And we will be sharing a lot more information about that with you in our March community conversations. One thing to note is that our second community conversation, which would also include our community council meeting, falls over winter recess. So we will not have another community conversation until we are together in that second week of March. So March 9th, just mark your calendars. That's when we'll come back together. And Ms. Colgan, you want to talk about Above 80?
Yep, so Above 80 is really cool because this year that is actually being owned by grade team leaders. And so all the grade teams are coming together. They are as GLT leaders and their own teams, deciding what best fits for their own grades. And so they get to do a lot of outreach and research with their teams and with their students to really determine what kind of celebrations they want to have. And then those are often kept secret from students until the big reveal. So I know previously 7th grade did a huge party on a Wednesday during study hall where students who had earned it got to have some special treats and got to come together. There have been special dress down days that have taken place. And there have just been a ton of different versions of celebrations. And then Above 95 also happens on a regular basis. We just had one at the end of January, and we'll be having one upon our return from winter recess. So our last one was our hot chocolate party, where we actually got to make our own hot cocoa bags to bring home and enjoy on our own. So just be on the lookout for any information from your grade level around what those celebrations are and if they've earned them, normally shared through an email invitation to the scholar directly. All right, and Ms. Strong, I'm gonna go to the next slide, but I'm pulling those PDFs right now. I'm about to drop a bunch.
Amazing.
After I talk about this.
After you do that, great, thank you.
After I do this, yes. So Black History Month is upon us. This is something that I myself am really excited about. I do a lot of this work in the classroom. And so I was happy to bring it out and kind of work on getting it done at a school-wide level. So we have some really cool things happening. We've got highlights of prominent historical events and figures daily in classes and advisory. On this day, calendar is happening. So historical highlights are happening in relation to what day in February it took place. There's special highlights happening in Unity meeting about the origins of Black History Month, where it actually came from and its evolution since its founding. And then historical facts have also been posted in the hallways. A group of 8th graders actually supported us in doing that. They were able to distribute them and put them throughout every single hallway for our girls prep school here. So students are literally surrounded by historical facts while they're in their transitions and going to the bathroom. And then I'm really excited about this year in collaboration with the 8th grade class. It's going to be History Makers Day. So on February 16th, scholars and staff are invited to honor a Black history maker from the past or the present by dressing up as their favorite Black activist or African-American history maker. So there are a lot of different ways this can be interpreted. I know that there are some 6th graders who are playing with Princess Tiana as our first Black Disney princess. And then at the 8th grade level, some students are really diving deep into the history and thinking about dressing up as prominent futures such as Angela Davis. So definitely connect with your scholar, see who they're thinking of coming as, and they can also wear an inspirational t-shirt from that person or with a uplifting quote if they would rather participate that way with their uniform bottoms. So we're really excited. There's gonna be some really great stuff.
Amazing, amazing. I feel like this is a lot of awesome SFA announcements. I'm going to start Kindness Day, Ms. Colgan, so you can drop those resources in the chat and then you can come off and fill in anything that I'm missing. So Kindness Day is one of the best days of the year at Girls Prep. It is right up there with Gratitude Day, which I am determined we will have in person next year and celebrate, like maybe not exactly like we used to, but similar. So Kindness Day is a day where our whole community really just focuses on acts of service. Some 7th and 8th graders, those who are fully vaccinated, will be heading over to our other campuses, our brother and sister campuses, and reading aloud to their younger public prep sisters. And they will be, others will be creating a school mural to adorn our first floor hallway. We're really, really excited to see how that turns out. And others will be building hygiene kits to donate to the homeless. So there's a lot of awesome things that are happening. Again, it's February 18th. It's all day. Scholars and staff are encouraged to wear red, white, or pink. It is a dress down day. As a reminder, on dress down days, no ripped jeans, please. And let's make sure that we are wearing school appropriate tops. So it's winter time, but no tank tops and no crop tops on that day. But anything that is red, white, or pink, we encourage scholars and staff to wear. And again, if you've not already donated, we've got a lot of donations coming in. Thank you so much to everyone who has. But please continue to bring in the travel size, new and unused. It doesn't have to be travel size. That's preferred because it's just easier to pack into a small kit. It can be a full size item. But really lotion, deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, all the things that you see on the slide would be really helpful in creating those kits. So please continue. The donation box is located outside of the main office. So as scholars arrive in the morning, they can drop it off right there. And then we will distribute those for Kindness Day. Ms. Colgan, is there anything I missed that we should highlight about this day?
No, I think you got just about everything. Just another push for that hygiene kit drive. That's really exciting. And if you have a 7th or 8th grader who is fully vaccinated and has been for 2 weeks, but has not submitted that information, please make sure they do, because we would love to get them out and into the community, but we do need to make sure that they're fully vaccinated and that we have proof of that on campus. And then Ms. Strong, I can talk to, I just dropped some resources into the chat box. So this week we're focusing on best self, as there is some testing. So we're working on what does that look like and setting goals for success and how we can make sure that we are actively working towards those goals. Next week, we're gonna be focusing on empathy and the mood meter, which is very well timed with our Kindness Day celebrations. And then upon our return, we're going to be doing a best self effort in the mood meter. And Joanne, I just saw it might have been set to public prep only. So let me get back into those documents and see if I can make it available to everybody. And just so that you all are aware, these are lesson plans that are shared out with staff members. And then the teams will adapt those and put them into their daily advisory slides.
Awesome. Ms. Kerr, I see you're on here. Can we skip this one, Ms. Colgan? I think the next slide has the more comprehensive information on it. Will you go to the next one? There we go. Ms. Kerr, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So just a reminder, we are having a vaccine pop-up tomorrow, February 10th. The hours are 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. It will happen in the library. We are partnering with Allegria, and they will offer both pediatric doses and adult doses. For children 5 to 11 years old, they're offering Pfizer, but for anyone else, they're offering Moderna, Pfizer, or the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. They're doing first, second, or booster doses. We can vote a flyer. You can sign up via the flyer, but they will also accept walk-ins. And the adult must be with the student, and they must bring an ID and an insurance card. If you have one, if you're uninsured, you will still be accepted. And for any student who is getting vaccinated, if they choose to leave, or if you as a parent choose to take them home for the rest of the day, the half-day absence will be excused since they are getting vaccinated.
Okay, yeah, Ms. Colgan, I saw that message. What I'm wondering is if maybe you download the PDF and drop it onto our drive.
I'm
Maybe you-
attempting to do that now. It seems there are some restrictions. It may be simply because of them coming from a license section. It might not give us access for us to share them out publicly.
Okay. I'm gonna play around with it too. We're gonna get you the ruler information, families. Thank you so much for your patience. I just downloaded it, Ms. Colgan, but I haven't like saved it to my computer and then saved it to my drive, but that might be, or we could Kinvo out the PDFs directly. We can drop them as an attachment in a Kinvo or an email so families can get them that way, potentially too. Awesome. So wanted to just open up the floor. If anyone has questions about anything we shared that went out in the newsletter or any other questions about things that are coming up, we are happy to take you off mute.
Ms. Strong, there's a question in the chat about parents knowing which activity their child will do on Kindness Day.
Oh, that is a great question. So if your child is going off campus for the reading to our younger sisters, you'll be getting a permission slip for that. Otherwise, your scholar will be in the building. And we can share out the full Kindness Day schedule with everyone. We're still finalizing the activities overall, but we are happy to share that out when we have that finalized. And then you'll know exactly what your kiddos are doing.
Sorry, just addressing a question in the chat. The clinic that we are partnering with has not yet determined if they will come back to administer another dose, but we are working with them to secure that information. And hopefully we can have that answer to you sooner rather than later. But it also depends on the turnout that we receive tomorrow.
Great, great, great. And I just sent Miss Mullery and Miss Suarez, our amazing social workers, a note about getting some info out for Kindness Day. And yeah, Miss O'Neill, I see your comment in the chat. It would not be an excused absence to miss that day of school, but if you've got some specific concerns or questions, I'm happy to connect with you offline about it. But generally, unless it falls into one of the buckets for excused absences over illness or bereavement, it would not be excused if she was not here. And just so that I'm also to clarify, you do, if your scholar is vaccinated and would have the opportunity to go visit another campus, you can also say no on the permission slip and they can stay here with students who are not going off campus. Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of kids in every grade that won't be going anywhere, so she can absolutely stay in the school. It's okay. Let me just mute myself.
Ms. Colgan, I know Ms. Strong might be busy. My question is whether it sounds like you guys are already grading the mock state test. Will they have results before break?
I'm not entirely sure the timeline on that, as it's a 2 day. So I know they began grading today. I don't know if they were able to grade all of them, but I know that when, oh, Ms. Strong, you got that?
that's all right. Yep. Just had to get Ms. Cardesis some Post-its. We should have the results by next week. Yes. So we did not finish grading all of them today, but we will definitely have them graded before we go into winter break. So teachers should be able to share those reports with families and with scholars so that they know where they are in terms of that performance. And Ms. O'Neill,
8th grade math Regent 2.
that will be happening when the math mock comes up in a couple of weeks. And then yes, you'll get that. Similar, there will be an LE Regents mock as well, and families will get that data, which we'll use to prep for the Regents, which will happen in June. So the timeline for 8th grade in terms of what we would consider prepping for the test in math and science looks different than the rest of the school because it's going to be closer to that Regents date in June. Ms. O'Neill, best way is just to reach out to your point of contact and just let them know, and then they can confirm that with the grade team. And Ms. Colgan, there's a question in here. Are the girls going to Lower East Side Elementary, or are they going to another public prep campus? Do you happen to have that answer?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, can.
Okay, that is one of the schools they are going to. They will also be at Bronx Elementary, Bronx 2, and then the Lower East Side.
And so again, yep, for any families that are like, nope, I prefer to opt out of a field trip, you are welcome to do so. That is not a requirement for scholars. Being fully vaccinated is a requirement in order for them to go. But you are welcome to communicate directly with your point of contact and let them know that your scholar will be staying.
And I also want to confirm that there are permission slips that have gone home. So if your scholar is someone who was eligible for that, you received a permission slip to sign and send back to confirm that they can leave campus.
And Joanne, they will be traveling on public transit. The DOE is still not doing yellow buses for field trips. And so scholars that are traveling will be traveling on public transit. And while we're on, Joanne, Deshauna, not to put you on the spot, but I do know that we are like winter break falls on when you'd have your next like meeting with families. Is there anything like any follow-ups or reminders or things that you all want to flag for families tonight while we've got a little bit of extra time? And if not, that's totally okay.
Unfortunately, we didn't have an update because the agenda for our meeting with Janelle was full. So next month we have another meeting with her at the beginning of the month, and we should have updates for our next community conversations.
And between now and then, there should be a book fair. So that's very exciting. We're really on the cusp of making that happen in the middle of March. So look for info going home, and it should be online and in person both. So it's exciting.
Yes, very, very exciting. And that is going to be incorporated into our spring spirit celebrations that go along with mastery season as our girls are gearing up for those tests, and we're celebrating their growth and their effort. And so we're excited, appreciate community council really spearheading that and making sure we get that off the ground.
Ms. Strong, there's a question about prom for the 8th grade.
Ooh, this is a great question. I know I'm watching Miss McCullough's face. She's like 8th grade prom. She's like, I got to get through these high school applications before I can think about prom. There will be a prom for 8th grade this year. There will be a campus-based graduation celebration, and there will be an end of year trip. The logistics and the details of which we are still obviously in process for. There will most likely be some COVID restrictions and vaccination requirements because the prom would be indoors if it is ideally held in person, which is what we'd be going for. So again, if your 8th graders are not vaccinated, we really, really encourage that so that they can have opportunities on their end of year trips and for all of those celebrations. But more info to come. We'll be having an 8th grade family meeting in the coming weeks, specifically to talk everything 8th grade end of year, everything high school updates, so that you can get information about graduation and all of that. So excuse me, be on the lookout for that date. That meeting will be happening towards the beginning of March. I know. I mean, our team did a great job doing the virtual prom cup, whatever that happened. Time is a blur, not gonna lie. Don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago. I don't know how long we've been doing this thing, this virtual thing. 2 years ago that we had the virtual prom? Yep, okay. And it was festive, but obviously in person would be ideal.
And I do
Outdoor?
think,
Outdoor could also be an option. That's one of the things that we are working on to see what venues could be possible and how we could potentially also offer it outdoor, which would open it up to more scholars. All right, well, families, if there are no further questions on your end, we are happy to hang back for a few more moments if anything comes up. But those are all of our updates for tonight. So you can feel free to go ahead and log off and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Again, we appreciate your time. And before you go, Ms. Colgan is dropping our ruler resources. She has fixed those links. Those are in the chat. So if you want to bring those up, so that you can have them on your computers, feel free to do so. We will also post them on our Facebook page so that you can access them there. You can also ask your point of contact directly. Hey, please send me those ruler lessons. We will make sure that we get them for you so that you can reinforce all of that learning at home. So have a great night, everyone. Again, I'm gonna stop the recording and I'll hang back for a few more questions if folks have them. Otherwise, I hope you have a great night.